everyone, this is Kylie from Stampers Workshop. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Australia. Today we're making a really pretty card using the Flowering Flail Specialty Designer Series paper. This paper is only available during celebration, which finishes on the 31st of March 2020. So I'm sorry if you're watching after this date, it is no longer available. So basically I've taken just a small section from the paper, don't worry, I will use the rest of the paper, and I'm going to colour it using a sponge daubers. I'm using Melon, Mambo, Mango Melody and Granny Apple Green to colour it. So this is how I set up my daubers. So I've got the daubers and the sponges in a little tray, and I can just pick out whatever I need at the time. I'm starting in the centre with Mango Melody. You can see that I'm sort of dipping it into the ink and then sort of tapping it off to the side. Some of these colours, especially Melon Mambo, can be very, very dark, and I actually want a really soft effect. And that's what I love about creating like this. Some of these inks, you can make a really bold look, or you can actually make a really soft, almost pastel effect, and it just looks amazing. Don't worry too, you're going to go out of the lines, and that doesn't matter. And you're going to go over the other colours, doesn't matter. The pink with the Melon Mambo and the Mango Melody look really great together, and they'll blend together to create a really pretty orange effect. So don't worry. And especially when you'll see that I'm going to cut it out a little bit closer to the edges later on. It doesn't matter if I've gone over the line and I don't have a white border all the way around. You'll get the idea, and it will still look really pretty, and whoever gets it as the recipient, they're going to love it. They're going to think it looks amazing and that you're super clever. Okay, now we're up to Granny Apple Green, which I'm using for the leaves. This one too can be quite a bold colour, so I always suggest just sort of tapping on the side on some scratch paper first, just to sort of see what you're going to end up with. There's nothing worse, and I have ruined a couple of projects when I've gone too heavily into them before sort of seeing the strength of my ink. You've just noticed there that I'm pointed to a bit at the top. I've missed a little bit of the pink flower, so I'm just coming back. I didn't even need to add it to the ink pad because I had plenty of ink still on my dauber, so watch that as well. Okay, so now this bit is finished. It was really simple. Yes, I have put it on double speed, but it really didn't take that long. I kind of faffed around a little bit as well, so okay, it's all cut out. Let's put that aside and go on to the next step. I'm using the Coastal Weave embossing folder, and I'm using my same dauber again. I'm adding just a little bit more colour to it because I want it to be subtle, but I want to be able to see it. So I'm adding the ink all over the top, and this will be embossed into the cardstock when I run it through my die cutting machine. I'm just trying to get sort of as even a coverage as possible, but trying not to add too much colour because I just want a soft effect. Okay, pop it in the folder. Now let's run it through the machine, and voila, how good does that look? It's just a really subtle effect. If you want a bolder look, you can just add the ink pad directly to the embossing folder, but if you're looking for more of a solid effect, that's a great way to go. Okay, now we're using the new mini trimmer, which is unfortunately only available to demonstrators who sign up during celebration, but it's fantastic and I use it all the time. So I've just trimmed off about 5mm off two edges so that when I put it onto that white cardstock base, it kind of makes that pink pop up a little bit more. I've just used Snail Adhesive to adhere it. I'm also using Snail Adhesive to adhere the cut out floral image as well. And you'll see that I haven't actually been particular about going to every little edge, because if it lifts up a little bit, I'm okay with that. I kind of think it adds a bit of character, a little texture, dimension to it. Okay, the sentiment. I have to make a lot of birthday cards this year. I have decided to sort of make cards for all of the team that I'm a part of. So I need to make a lot of birthday cards. So I'm using the Label Me Bold stamp set, and I wanted to use the pink from the Melon Mambo to have it match. You'll see that, as you can see, I've stamped it 3 times, and the first one's quite very bold. The second one's a little softer, but it was still a little too dark. So I've actually stamped it 3 times to get that really soft image, and you can see it's stamped perfectly. So I'm just trimming it out with my paper snips. You could run it through the paper trimmer or use the mini trimmer if you have one. just to get a super straight line, but you know, I'm feeling a bit artistic, and if it's got a bit of a wiggle to it, it's got a bit of a wiggle to it. I'm not really fussed. I'm using some mini dimensionals to make it pop up. I love dimensionals of all sorts. If you don't have the mini ones, they are pretty awesome, but you can also just chop up your regular size dimensionals to make them fit onto that small panel. Choose where you want your sentiment to go and pop it down. And that is the outside of the card done. It's really pretty. All we need to do now is tie the inside to the outside. I take a panel of cardstock. I think if you've watched my videos for any time, you know that I take a whole pack of paper and I cut it into quarters so it's all ready to go. So that just means that when I'm doing an inside, I take another another sheet of this cardstock and I chop off a border. So in this case, I've chopped off 1.5 centimeters from two sides. And since I've got a lot of that paper and some of the flowers are hanging over the edge, so you're not going to use them otherwise, I've just chopped off one that has a straight edge and is up the right way, and I'm adding some more colour to it, just like we did for the front. Because it's only such a small area, I haven't actually re-inked my Daubers. I figured there was probably enough colour in them to sort of do this small area. If it's not dark enough for you, just sort of add a little bit more colour to it, but I thought that would be enough. It's just a really soft shade. Use your paper snips to finish fussy cutting out the image, but don't be too fussy. It'll be fine. Before using adhesive, I use the Snail Adhesive again to adhere this to the panel. Now you remember I did actually cut a border, so even though I turn over and snip off that leaf, I really didn't have to, because when you put it inside the card, you'll see that there's plenty of space and it could have hung there and just added a little bit more interest, but never mind. So there you have it. That's the inside of the card down, and it's really pretty, as is the outside. I hope you'll give it a try. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.